games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Bill Bird Kia is giving you holiday savings during the season of giving back. Take your next holiday adventure in a brand new Kia. Now offering 1.9% APR up to 48 months on the purchase of a new 2023 Kia Sorento. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. Bill Bird Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at Bill Bird Kia, PanamaCity.com. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2023 Kia Sorento with $2,165 per month per $1,000 financed at 48 months. Quantities limited. No down payment required. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 1/2/24.
360-degree protection of your home, 365 days a year, one low monthly price.
Brock Lawn and Pest Control offers an affordable program that provides our customers with peace of mind. Brock 365.
We like bundling pest control with termite protection for a low monthly payment. We couldn't be happier with the results. Most treatments are done outside, and we haven't had any issues in over 3 years.
Call us today for your free consultation.
Brock Lawn and Pest Control.
Signworks, a business serving businesses since 1985. Everything from signs and banners, vehicles and boats, magnetic and real estate signs, contractor signs, and much more. Signworks can do large format, full color printing too. Signworks, a real professional in the business world. Call Signworks at 785-8899. Signworks, 850-785-8899.
My dad, he's a double amputee, and he's one of my favorite people in the world. To me, a hero is someone who fights for our country and freedom. My dad is a hero. Homes for Our Troops built this house, and my dad can get through the wide doorways. He can reach anything.
Homes for Our Troops builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post-9/11 veterans and enables them to rebuild their lives. Join our mission at hfotusa.org.
Northwest Florida's home for college football bowl games. WGSX Lynn Haven, WPLQ Port St. Joe.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Are you ready?
Okay, let's begin.
Trip. The Afternoon Underdog Trip. Live and local. Inside the doghouse.
Unleash the dragon.
On the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are live. You are in the doghouse riding with the Afternoon Underdogs, tuned in to ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 here in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. I'm David Hayes, along with our guest for the first segment. As long as she wants to stay, we had her to end the show off yesterday. Lexi Griffin, she plays soccer at Southern Miss, and she graduated from Arnold in 2022. So we'll continue on that interview from yesterday, as long as we got her in town here, because you're going to be headed back to school to continue on with your digital journalism. Tell us a little bit about what all entails with her, what you're looking forward to doing here with digital journalism.
Yeah, so I'm majoring in digital journalism, and I would love to do sports broadcasting or anything kind of like what you have set up.
Yeah.
Anything like that, just any sort of broadcasting. But I know it's kind of like a very difficult field to get into. So I've talked to my advisors and stuff, and they've told me that any job you kind of get, any opportunity you get out of college, you should take it. Even if it's not necessarily sports, just kind of take those opportunities and see where those go. So, I mean, I would love to cover sports, but honestly, any sort of media coverage, broadcast, any of that, I'd be super interested.
We'll get you into politics.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be great.
Maybe not.
That'll have you pulling your hair out. You'll end up looking like me for too long at that point. No, but that's really cool. And I'm sure that it's just like anything these days. it's tough to break into, but once you break into it, you just kind of keep your nose to the grindstone, and you've got the personality. That's one thing I texted your dad after the after your interview yesterday. I was like, you're honest, you're sincere, you're authentic, but you also have that feeling about you. You know what I mean? Like you're personable. So that will lead you very well into the sporting world, or really any type of media, journalism, whatever, because you just got to kind of have that smile on your face and make people feel good. So good job, Lexi.
You.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
It was a lot of fun talking with you yesterday, so I want to kind of really, let's be honest, the whole point of bringing you in here today was because it's Tuesday, and normally on Tuesdays we've got Max Delighten in the building with us for Your Minute with Max, and then Max calls me at like 3:50, hey bro, I'm not going to be able to make it in today. I'm like, what, man?
Maybe he just didn't want to get showed up by me. You know?
I think he's intimidated because he said
that's the thing.
He said that he gets you in basketball one-on-one, and I'm like, after you walked in yesterday, I was like, ain't no way, ain't no way.
Yeah, he definitely didn't come because he's scared.
So we'll have to.
He heard I'm in town. He heard I'd be on the radio station. He didn't want to come.
Yeah, and he was saying we need to be playing some pickleball soon. I've never played pickleball. So is that like a big thing at college?
Oh yeah, everybody. Actually, one of my neighbors I think he's on a professional pickleball team. So a PPT, I guess.
PPT.
I don't know if it's called that, but yeah, he plays pickleball, and everybody's playing in college. I haven't played it yet.
You haven't played yet?
Some of my teammates do. They love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What is the go-to leisure activity for a college? Like maybe not just for you though, Lexi, but for like across the board. What's the leisure activity? And we can't take beer pong for the answer.
Okay. Well, that was gonna be my off-camera answer, but I would probably have to say, I mean, a lot of my teammates will go play tennis. I mean, like people play tennis.
So the big version of pickleball then.
Yeah. I don't know, like just pick up sports. Oh,
no
cornhole. Cornhole.
Oh, cornhole.
We have one at my house and school. Everybody plays cornhole.
Yeah.
I love it.
No foosball though. I would imagine that y'all would like to get the table version of soccer.
Yeah, I guess a foosball table is more expensive than a cornhole.
That is
board,
true.
You know,
you can make.
I'll ask my roommates if I can put a giant foosball table in the living room.
There you go. What about ping pong? Is that still popular?
Ping pong's cool.
Yeah.
We have that. Actually, we have a thing called the M Club at my school. So it's like a student athlete.
Like intramural type deal? Oh no, because this wouldn't be.
It's like a building, like a place you hang out, and a lot of people have meetings and like team events there, and they have like foosball, ping pong, pool.
Which athletes dominate the ping pong table?
Definitely the football players.
Football players dominate the ping pong table.
They're always playing, but they'll go like right after practice because it's right on their field, like right behind their field. They'll go right up after practice and play ping pong.
That is wild. I really thought it would have. I was rooting for the baseball players.
There's some good ones, but I just know the football players are always playing.
Yeah. We're going to dive right back into it with Lexi here. If you got any questions for Lexi, you can text them to us at 850-215-6290. In boys high school basketball, this is your local update brought to you by Barbaritos. Visit Barbaritos on 23rd Street. Tell them that the Afternoon Underdogs sent you. Barbaritos, food, community, people. In boys high school basketball, South Walton took down Mosley last night 61-44. Malone over Liberty 64-50. Geneva takes down Bluntstown 50-46. Paxton beats Ponce de Leon 64-38, and Houston Academy beats Chipley 75-70. In girls high school basketball, it was Rutherford over New Site, Mississippi 64-44. Bozeman beats Covenant Christian 51-13. Ponce de Leon over Paxton 43-22. Niceville beats Crestview 54-37. In boys high school soccer, it was Mosley over Port St. Joe 4-2. And in girls high school soccer, Bay beat Port St. Joe 4-1. Rutherford and Mariana play to a 0-0 draw, and North Bay Haven beats the Arnold Marlins 4-3. How does that make you feel, Lexi?
Really upset, but it's all right. I know they're working hard.
How many games did y'all lose in totality, like over your 4 years at Arnold?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Was there a noticeable progression, like year by year?
Yeah, we definitely got better, like as time went on, from my freshman to my junior year. Our junior year we peaked. Like my junior year we peaked because state championship.
Right.
But we definitely won more than lost though, for sure. I don't know the exact number.
Do you still keep up with a lot of the gals on the team?
I have a few friends still on the team, but I'm kind of like like getting older. So
putting yourself on a pedestal over here.
No, I'm just like getting older than them, so I don't know as many.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Also, Bozeman senior left-handed pitcher Trey Power signed with Alabama State yesterday afternoon, becoming the baseball program's second player to sign to the Division I level. As a junior, he led the Bucks in starts on the mound while throwing for 65 strikeouts and 56.2 innings pitched. He hit .316 with 20 RBIs and 9 doubles. The Bucks will return this spring with 6 of their 9 starters from last year's lineup, and Power follows Cade Parker, who went to FAU in 2018 as the only Bozeman player to sign to the D1 level. All right, Lexi. Coach Larry. So when did he leave, Arnold?
I think he resigned this past year.
Okay, so he was there for all 4 years?
Well, actually, he was only there for 3. I got the privilege for my dad to coach me my freshman year.
Coach Danny G
that was awesome.
Is he a soccer guy?
Oh, my dad?
Yeah, I mean, I've only met your dad twice.
Everything I know. Like, he loves soccer. He might even love it more than me. I don't know.
Oh,
he lives and breathes it, though.
The one thing that I picked up on yesterday, like I said, I've only met your dad twice and really only spent a decent amount of time around him at our last fantasy football draft, which was probably August, sometime around there. But it's hard to put a pin on his humor or a pinpoint on his humor, but you know he's got a lot of it. And yet that was the first thing that I noticed from you yesterday. It's just like you've got the same type of humor as your dad does. But who is your most hated rival in high school?
It's got to be Mosley.
Is that everyone's biggest rival? Oh,
yeah.
every sport. Just across the board.
Arnold and Mosley, like everybody, they're a rival for everything. Yeah. So, I mean...
Did y'all beat Mosley? Like, was Mosley better than y'all, or were y'all better than them? Or?
We had never beaten them ever since the school was open until my sophomore year. And then we beat them, it was like towards the end of the season of my sophomore year, and that was like insane because we never beat them. And then it kind of would go back and forth like from my sophomore to senior year. I don't really remember. All I know is one of my best friends played for Mosley, and every time they beat us, she'd rub it in. But like every time we beat them, it was a nightmare for them. So, I mean...
Yeah, because it hurt them a little bit more.
Yeah, they definitely had a little bit more of a, like, attitude about it because they have beaten us for so long.
How big of a role did that play? Like, was that one of the first pieces that helped you as players notice, okay, like, we're learning in practice and we're actually starting to get better? And then it's not like that was the icing on the cake, but when you finally beat a rival like that, it's like, all right, now, did y'all buy into Coach's philosophy even more so when you finally got a win over a crosstown rival like Mosley?
I mean, for sure. It was definitely a milestone for, like, the entire program. And I know, like, years before that, it was building us up to get to that point.
Right.
I mean, there was a lot of years work, even at the club level when we were young. Like, a lot of our players came from the same club, and we were playing together for a long period of time. So it was kind of like they knew it was coming. It just was like when. But it was definitely like a giant milestone for our program because it kind of showed that, yeah, this was something that was impossible for so many years, but we did it. So what else can we do?
How important is that, do you feel, as a soccer player who's made it through the ranks? I'm sure you played youth soccer, you played high school soccer, and now you're playing D1 soccer, which is high as it gets. How important is club soccer and sticking together as a team? How important is that to not only the growth as a team, but also your individual efforts and talents?
I mean, it's super important. Me and a bunch of my teammates that I grew up with, they also went Division I, and there's no way we would have gone Division I if we weren't developed as such young kids. My dad actually gets a lot of credit for that because he took us at age 6, made a travel team, a 3v3. It's like a summer team.
Yeah. 3v3 soccer. That sounds like fun.
It's super fun.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest part about it. It was fun. So we wanted to do it every year. We wanted to be there, And he took us and we played, and we did that for a very long time. Then we went into played club together for a very long time. But it's also like there's another part to it because once you hit a certain age, your area gets so small you can only do so much. So we were kind of forced to leave and go and play for teams in Georgia or Tampa and kind of spread out a little bit. And so that was kind of rough because you're traveling every weekend, you don't get to be home and you miss birthday parties and whatever else that's going on at home, so you're always on the road. But you got so much more exposure. So it's important to like stay together, yes, and keep in touch with those friends, but also you have to, again, worry about yourself, branch out, and go get some more exposure so you can get to the higher levels.
Yeah, and speaking of the higher levels, like what would be your ideal goal? What's next for you in the world of soccer if everything were to go according to your plan?
Definitely going and playing overseas. My dad has always wanted me to do that, and at first I was like, I don't know if I want to keep playing and go overseas, but to sit here and think that I only have 2 years of soccer left, I almost can't imagine it. So I would love to go play overseas somewhere, and particularly Spain. I would love to go to Spain just because it's a beautiful place, and I don't know, I think that would be super fun, and the soccer is really competitive there. But honestly, anywhere I get sent, I would just love to kind of go play for a pro team and see what that's like and get that experience under my belt, you know?
Absolutely. I'm sure that there's no way that this has crossed your mind, but maybe it does for some athletes and at your level here with only 2 years left, but has coaching crossed your mind?
For sure, actually. Because my dad was a coach, I mean, he's had a lot of influence on that, and seeing like at every level how it is, I feel like I would love to be a coach and kind of like build a club team or even possibly coach a college team. I don't know. That's a lot to ask though, because I mean, college coaching, it's your life too. So I don't know, but I would definitely love to coach a club team. And I know there's a local coach. His name's John Rhodes here. He also coached me when I was younger, built me up into the player I am today. But he runs it used to be Bay United, I forget what they're called now, but he let me come coach some camps during the past summers, and I loved coaching the young kids and just kind of teaching them.
Does he got the accent?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, he's been on the Coach James. He's been on the Coach Hale show before.
Yeah,
We've had, cool. Coach Hammond as well. I've had him on this show before as well, Coach Jonas. So, yeah. Do we have a semi-pro for women's over here in this area? I know that we got the Florida Roots.
Florida Roots has a women's team, but the women's team it's more of like Fort Walton.
Gotcha,
area.
over in that area, yeah. Now, so we have a pro soccer league here in America, the NWSL, right? So what's that, National Women's Soccer League?
Yeah.
How difficult is that the NFL of women's soccer in general? And the reason why I asked that question, I know we were talking about this off air, and you're like, dude, we've already talked about all of this, but we're doing this for the listeners, you know? Yeah. But no, with soccer, with men's soccer, you know, we've got the MLS over here, but it's not even a feeder for the Premier League and Bundesliga and all of that good stuff. But is the NWSL the premier of the premier, the peak for women's soccer across the globe?
It definitely is. It's probably one of the biggest leagues, if not the biggest league in the world. And also the NWSL is a direct pipeline for the national team. I mean, the majority of the national team players, when they scout, they go straight to the NWSL. So it's a very valued league everywhere, I'm pretty sure. So
that's a hard league to get into even from D1 college, and there's really not a path forward. If you're playing semi-pro anything, more than likely you're doing that because you just love the sport so much, right?
Yeah, pretty much. But like I said, like the bigger your school is, the better chance you have of going to the NWSL.
Why didn't you end up playing two sports at college? So you played basketball and you played for Arnold. What was the percentage of love, right? Like, is soccer just so dominating over basketball? Or are you just better at soccer than you were basketball? What's the percentage split look like between soccer and basketball?
I mean, I've been playing soccer since I was 2. Like, it's like...
It's in you.
Yeah, it is. And so I've always loved soccer, but when I started playing basketball, there was a coach named Coach Mick. He made me into like this insane basketball player, and I wasn't supposed to be, but I would play with boys.
Yeah.
Like from first grade up until like 5th grade, 6th grade, I've only played with boys, and then like one girl would get added, 2 girls would get added, and so I really like excelled in basketball, and I played in middle school, played in high school, and I just loved playing because it was something different, you know. But you'd be surprised how many like skills you can take from soccer and basketball and just translate it to the other sport. So it honestly helped me in both sports, playing both of them. But as far as love, like it was always
wasn't
soccer.
even close.
Yeah. But I mean, my coach in high school was awesome for basketball, and he made me kind of like think about going to play for college and basketball. But it's so difficult to do. You know, even playing in high school, I played 2 sports in high school, and basketball and soccer season are at the same time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I mean, since my freshman year, I'd have to split the time, and luckily, like my dad and Coach Larry would help work out the schedule with my other basketball coach, and so they would work out the schedule perfectly to where I would maybe have one day where the games overlap or 2 days, and in 1 year it was 0. So
wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was really difficult, and I'd have to stay. I'd go to school at 8:15 in the morning. After school, 3 o'clock, go straight to soccer practice from 3 to 5:30, then go straight to basketball practice from 5:30 to 8 every single day.
So going to college, so your last 2 years of college has actually been easier than your athletic career at Arnold.
For sure, like not the actual skill itself,
right?
Like the work,
but the workload.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the physical practice workload. The like mental stuff, college has it beat. But yeah, actually like physically giving time and doing stuff with the sport, I was already used to those long days anyways. So it wasn't that big of a difference.
Let's see. How much, I know that we talked a little bit about the transfer portal yesterday, but how much does that affect y'all's chemistry inside the clubhouse? So honestly, everybody kind of has the same understanding that I kind of explained yesterday of the transfer portal. Like, they get it, that it's you benefiting yourself. But we love when transfers come in, because if you have a transfer come in and a freshman come in, the freshman has no clue how anything works. The transfer at least has some sort of clue how college soccer works, and like it's much easier to like just bring them into the program because they're already adapted to it. You know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely.
So transfers really don't. They really don't affect our team chemistry that much. It
adds to more than it subtracts from.
Yeah, definitely, because you get all these new players and you get a new life almost with your team. I mean, we had a bad season my freshman year, and then we got a bunch of grad students and transfers, and then we had a better season this year. So it's kind of like you get a new life with these transfer players, and no one really resents anybody for transferring because they understand it's just part of their path.
Do you think that it's going to be hurting? I think that it is in football, but what about the high school recruits, like where you were just 2 years ago at Arnold? And do you think that the transfer portal is going to make it to where instead of you getting the opportunity to play D1, now you've got to go to D2 and try to work your way up the athletic ladder?
Yeah, I think that's definitely the downside of it, because obviously it is going to affect players that are coming out of high school. But at the same time, if you're good, you're good. Yeah. So like if you're good enough to play, transfers. Also, like when coaches recruit transfers, if they're coming from a school and they've never touched the field, it's kind of, they're gonna want the freshman that was scoring 8 goals a game rather than the transfer from an SEC school that just never touched the field, because they get to build that player into how they want them to play. Yeah. You know? So I mean, there's good and bad parts of it all, but it definitely is one of the bigger downsides of the transfer portal.
We asked you your most hated rival in high school. We'll finish this one up with your most hated rival in college in the Sun Belt.
Definitely South Alabama, and they were really good this year. They won regular season West Division for Sun Belt, but they've always been our rival. In my past 2 years that I've been there, they've beaten us every time. But this year, we had them as our first Sun Belt game, and we actually tied them. So it was like a big deal that we tied them. So they're one of our bigger rivals, but they're really good. Like, they're just a great team.
So make sure that we turn the TVs on whenever it's Southern Miss in South Alabama.
Yeah, because we're going to be putting in the work.
Are a lot of y'all's games televised? Like on ESPN Plus?
ESPN Plus, yeah. Always. They're always on there.
I'll definitely have to check a few of those out next season, of course, because we've also had, she's not from here, she's from Mississippi, but our former host on the Coach's Daughter show, Leanne Schwartzentruber, her niece, she plays at Arizona, and I am blanking on her name. And she might have transferred over to Ole Miss, but yeah, she was Emma Kate something.
Emma Kate.
Yeah, so EK is what they call her.
EK. Okay.
Yeah. So she plays over there at Arizona, though.
But you said she probably transferred to Ole Miss?
She might have. I don't know. I saw her son talking about something on Twitter, but I didn't dig deeper to verify anything. So.
Okay. Well, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to see if I know her.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. But keep on with your journey again. Anytime you're in town, feel free to stop on by the studio, and we'll talk sports with you. Again, you got Alabama winning the whole thing, right? You're right. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, baby.
There you go. No, but Lexi, really good to meet you, and proud of all of your accomplishments, and you're awesome to listen to, and I know that for the younger kids to listen to you, they need to be taking a lot from this, and just the way that you go about it, and your authenticity is awesome.
Thank you so much,
awesome.
David.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
That is Lexi Griffin. She plays soccer over at Southern Miss, and she graduated right here in our backyard from the Arnold Marlins. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Quick timeout. We'll be right back.
It's the PCB Hobby Takeover with Todd. Mondays at 5:20 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
That is a very high-end card and very rare.
Todd talks about coins, trading cards, collectibles, and the amazing stories behind them.
It was the first one that's ever come through my door.
Plus, we'll be taking your calls and questions at 850-215-6290. The PCB Hobby Takeover.
A platform for you to do your hobby.
Mondays at 5:20 on the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Tuesday afternoon. The rest of the day, clear skies and 53 with a brisk wind at 10 miles per hour coming out of the north-northeast. For tonight, mostly clear skies and a low near 37. Tomorrow, a wind 5 to 10 miles per hour, partly cloudy and a high around 56. For Thursday, some sun and a high of 61. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Bill Bird Kia is giving you holiday savings during the season of giving back. Take your next holiday adventure in a brand new Kia. Now offering 1.9% APR up to 48 months on the purchase of a new 2023 Kia Sorento. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. Bill Bird Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at Bill Bird Kia, PanamaCity.com. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2023 Kia Sorento with $2,165 per month per $1,000 financed at 48 months. Quality is limited. No down payment required. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 1/2/24.
They're number one in the men's room.
I hope this place comes with toilet paper.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Oh, geez, this is going to be a photo finish.
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we're back. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 here in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. I'm David Hayes along with Caveman Rick. We just had Lexi Griffin in the building with us. If you were wondering who we were talking to, she plays soccer at Southern Miss and graduated from Arnold in 2022. She's going over there to Southern Miss for digital journalism. So and her dad mentioned that she played soccer for Southern Miss. I was like, well, yeah, anytime that we can get her on the air, let's make that happen. And had her on for a little bit yesterday. So I told her anytime that you're around and available, for sure, come on. I mean, that's what this place is for, is to be able to help people kind of, get into their next level. That's pretty much how all of us that are, at least with the Afternoon Underdogs, Caveman Rick, just wanted to get some experience and stuff. And now look at you back there running the board.
Yeah, man. Get your feet wet.
Yeah, exactly. This is that's why we, if you'd ever like to get on the radio, we primarily leave Fridays open for that. So if you want to come spend 2 hours with the Afternoon Underdogs, all you got to do is text 850-215-6290 and then come on the air and talk a little sports with us. But basically, in a nutshell, Caveman Rick, all of this happened, or those two segments with Lexi happened because of
Fantasy football.
Fantasy football. Yes, sir. You're 100% right. So how cool is that, man? That, if nothing else, that should give you a reason to go get in a league if you haven't played fantasy football, is because you end up getting to meet 9 or 10 or sometimes 11 if you're in a 12-man league. Really cool people. Last year we had our live fantasy draft at Dave & Buster's. I'm not sure where it's going to be held this next year. So if you're a business that would like to host a fantasy football draft that has a lot of fun and we have north of 40 people, then you can again text us at 850-215-6290. I look forward to setting that up with you guys. But yeah, great fantasy football draft. And one of the coolest things for me last year was, even though I was drafting in just about every league, but going around and really being able to shake the hand and kind of meet everyone who listens and interacts and participates, because this radio station meant a lot to me even prior to working here. And now, you know, being able to work and being able to communicate sports with the rest of Panama City is something that honestly over the last couple of months I don't take lightly.
Right.
It's a privilege and an opportunity to be able to hop on the air with you guys and to be able to talk sports. So anyways,
and like you were saying here real quick though,
yeah, of course,
a face with the names and the voices that we're hearing is actually pretty cool at the fantasy football draft, and kind of getting to know people a little bit more intimately, if you will, you know, knowing them a little bit more personally. So yeah, definitely it's a good experience coming out and doing that. It
really is, man. I mean, shoot, this last Saturday we had flag football. We took our first loss of the year. The Patriots, they beat us pretty good, 34-6. But before the game started, one of the guys who's like a cameraman for the league was walking by, and I was laughing at something. He was like, "Where do I know that laugh from? Where I make fun of that laugh all the time." I'm like, I laughed for him. He was like, 104.3. I'm
was
like,
the cameraman on the Patriots side?
No, he wasn't. I think he was doing it for the league,
you
man.
guys did took that L, and like the footballs, did you guys check those, make sure they weren't deflated or anything?
I didn't see him in any unauthorized I didn't see any filming in unauthorized areas. Right. So, and don't forget, Caveman Rick, one day once we get past the Super Bowl, we are going to have the debate of all debates when it comes to I'm building that up to be too much. We are going to do it, but me and Caveman Rick often will get into heated argument. Not heated. I wouldn't say that they're heated. They get heated. They end up getting heated.
They're in depth, and they're very like what's a good word for it? I'm trying to articulate what's going on in my head. It's not heated though. It's
but it does get heated
a little bit.
It does at the end, just because you stand so strong in your stance on it,
what you believe, man.
Right. And so what we're talking about is the Patriots dynasty.
Right.
So
I don't call it a dynasty.
Yeah, and Caveman Rick doesn't. I have a few disagreements with it. I think that it is a dynasty. But it's a fun conversation, and when debates are passionate, when they are passionate, as maybe that was the word that you were searching for. Yeah. It hits a little bit different, if you will. 850-215-6290, as Professor Plum texts in and says cerebral arguments. That is a great word from the paragon of the dictionary, Professor Plum.
Like in high school back in the day, they don't really do it so much now. And then in college, you have like the debate team.
Yeah.
Okay. And like it was
I think they still do that.
They probably still do, but it's not as prevalent, I guess, as it used to be, you know, many years ago. That would be something if you just had like a sports debate team. Wouldn't that be pretty dope, you know?
I would get into debate at that point in time.
No, I mean, the way sports is going nowadays, too, it's gone away from, like, the highlights and people just reporting to it's more of, like, people debating and, like, talking heads kind of prognosticating and talking about stuff and blogging as opposed to just giving you the information.
Yeah, which I don't fit in very well with that world. I'm more of a highlights guy, and here's what happened. Because, I don't know, even listening to guys like Stephen A., and they've been on this kick for a while. This isn't new, but because even before all of this started, right? Cold Pizza, which was one. Do you remember that show?
PTI was the OG.
PTI was the OG of it.
And Wilbon, dude, that was the OG.
Do you remember Cold Pizza though with Michelle Beadle?
And
that was one of my
the dude with the two different colored eyes, Jay Crawford.
Jay Crawford,
that was his name.
Yeah,
and Woody Page started there.
Shoot, Jay Crawford, and I think there's been many. And this is tying back into our previous segment with Lexi. You know how some of her mentors said take a job wherever, even if it's not in sports or whatever, because it could help you climb that ladder.
Even intern.
Jay Crawford, I believe, started at CNN.
Yeah, I mean, like wherever you can get your foot in the door, get a little bit of experience, that can go a long way. I've heard you look at some of the shows too, like on ESPN. Look at a guy like Stanford Steve. Now he's SVP's right hand guy, right? He started off back in the wings, just doing production and whatever kind of stuff back there, and now he's in front of the camera. He gets lots of attention. I'm sure his paycheck's gotten a lot bigger too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And that's where he got his start. Like just from where I've seen watching ESPN, don't know where he started even before he got his foot in the door there. So it just goes to show you, you got guys like on a Get Up and stuff, dudes like Hembo and stuff. They were like stat dudes, and they're best friends with Greeny, writing books, and now they're getting all kinds of pub.
And I'm loving that we're getting those kind of, because I'm not Sam Peebles analytical or anything like that, because I do like the analytics, but I just believe that there's a truth to analytics, and then there is a false hope in analytics when you just ride them ride them as if they are the truth. But
this is a tool.
Well, that's one of the things that you bring up sports debate, and could you imagine if you're building a team of sports debaters? Like, you're gonna have to have an analytical guy. You're gonna have to have a guy who's historically sound. You're gonna have to have a guy who can create the creative arguments. You know what I mean?
Think outside of the box.
Exactly.
Up with, the big headlines or the big one-liners to get people's attention. Clickbait.
Well, that's what I love about the Afternoon Underdogs. This is why I love our show so much, is because we have all of those different elements within people. Like Kyle Wright is one of those outside of the box, and you know what I mean? Yeah. Creative. You're a guy who's like, I will find a button and I will push it.
Ain't afraid to say what I'm thinking.
Exactly. So we just have such a great crew of fellas here on the Afternoon Underdogs. 850-215-6290. We've got a text from someone saying that was an interesting and informative interview with a soccer player. Hey, and here's another thing. One of my favorite things to do on this show is to interview athletes from this area. So if you have athletes that are playing any type of sports, I don't care what it is, if we can get them in contact with us over here at 850-215-6290, the answer is yes.
Yeah, we've had wrestlers on here, weightlifters, like I said, basketball, soccer, all kinds of people in here, football. So, I mean, if this got anything to do, like you're saying, man, get them on here.
And I'm trying to get a little bit more plugged into the community, if you will, by way of, Ryan Mulvey asking me, giving me the opportunity to do some youth coaching with flag football.
You got another endeavor you've been talking about working on here?
Yeah, so over at First Baptist Church, I signed up to be a volunteer for a youth basketball league, and I was hoping maybe just like an assistant coach or something like that, kind of get my feet wet, get back into the game and everything, and no, head coach. So I'll be figuring all of that as we go. Luckily, I think I'll get a little guidance from Thomas Guy Dis.
There you go.
And I love it, man.
I know you got some people you can call. Rusty Cook probably help you out.
Rusty Cook over there with Gulf Coast. We're going to have him on the line with us tomorrow. He's good friends with Coach Guidis. Coach Guidis is over there at Bozeman now. He was the softball coach over there at Bay. I just love this area. We've got a lot of great coaches, and we've got a lot of great athletes that are moving on to do bigger and better things, and it's great. I mean, look at daggum Janoris Robinson, right? Got drafted by the Vikings, then gets released from there. Then he goes over to the Eagles. He's bouncing back and forth between the active and the practice squad, and then ends up getting cut from there, finds himself with the Vegas Raiders, gets signed to the practice squad. Now all of a sudden he's on the active roster of the Las Vegas Raiders, a team who just put up 63 points. So, man, it is a lot of fun watching our athletes here, watching our area, watching our community grow, but then watching these guys, the seeds that they planted here in Bay County, these guys and these girls, and then move on and doing great things at the next level as well. And then kind of also by way of that, putting Panama City on the map. It's a beautiful thing to watch.
And that wasn't even touching on the baseball talent that we got around here. There's a wealth of that too.
Absolutely. I don't know, Rick, I don't know if we're going to have time to do a local segment today. I know that we did our scores, and I don't know if did I get into the games that are going on tonight? Because if not, we need to do that right now.
So.
All right, and so that's what we're going to do right now, and then I'm going to end this segment off talking about what Panama City, what this area has been searching for Google-wise. The top 5 searches in certain categories brought to you by WMBB. In boys basketball, Bay is 4-5. They travel to 4-2 Walton tonight. They will tip at 7 p.m. Cottondale's 5-4. They travel to 5-5 Franklin County. They tip at 7 p.m. Mariana is 8-0. Undefeated. They're taking on Rutherford, who's 5-4 in Rutherford tonight at 7 p.m. In boys soccer, Walton is 2-3-2. They host Pine Forest hosts them, who's 2-6, and they will kick that one off at 6 p.m. Oh, I'm not having a score here from boys high school soccer from Rutherford. So, Coach Olds, if you're listening, give me those Rutherford scores, those Rutherford soccer scores from yesterday. Walton, again, 2-3-2. They're traveling to Pine Forest at 6 p.m. in boys soccer. Mariana's 12-4. They travel to 6-5-1 Choctaw. That game will start at 6 p.m. And then North Bay Haven, who is having a great season at this point, they're 11-1. They will host Destin at 7 p.m. Destin comes in with a record of 3-1-2. And then Niceville travels to South Walton. Niceville with a record of 6-2-1. South Walton with a record of 3-5-2, and they will start tonight at 7 p.m. In girls basketball tonight, Bay hosting Destin. Bay is 3-7. Destin is 2-5. That game tips at 6 p.m. At 5:30, Holmes County will host Bluntstown. Holmes County 6-5. Bluntstown is 6-0. That game will tip tonight at 5:30. Freeport 6-3. They travel to South Walton, who is 5-4, and that game will tip tonight at 6:45 p.m. In girls soccer, Destin is 4-2-1. They will be traveling to the Buccaneers of North Bay Haven, who are 8-3, and that game starts tonight at 5 p.m. And then Mariana hosting Port St. Joe. Mariana is 2-6-4. Port St. Joe is 2-7, and that game starts at 6 p.m. And Boston Tim just texting in with a little bit more local news here. J-Rob, Janoris Robinson, also got his first sack. First NFL sack. That is big news. And shout out to Boston Tim. Hopefully y'all's trip to Cozumel was awesome.
Yeah, no doubt, Tim. Hopefully you had a good trip. And don't forget, too, AG chimed in, too, here on Facebook talking about Randy Pittman at UCF.
Oh, Randy Pittman at UCF. I forget where Isaac Paul ended up going to. You got Will Smiley up there at Navy. The list is about to get even longer. We got some great things. And watch out for Bay County football next year. The reason why I say that is the consensus from the coaches. If you guys remember listening to Coach Siegel previewing the high school football season this year right here on ESPN Northwest Florida, and what the main thing from each and every team was they are young in the trenches. Well, what happens when you're young in the trenches? The next year, you're going to be a little bit more experienced, a little bit better, and Caveman Rick can show you, not by way of a win last night, but he can tell you as far as with the Philadelphia Eagles, that turn, that upward trend started to happen when the trenches were solidified for the Philadelphia Eagles. And it starts with 62.
Lately,
I know the last 3 games have been wild, man.
Actually, I guess we have been controlling the line. We've been moving the ball. It's turnovers, man. We've been shooting ourselves in the foot too many damn times. It's a lot of just, we're our worst enemy at times.
Yeah, hey, the Titans are more than their worst own enemy. But you know what we do have today at 5 o'clock? We're going to go over some of the power rankings. Right. And ESPN, with their power rankings this time, did what each team is number 1 in. So we're going to take a deeper look at each of the top 10 teams.
You'd be surprised on some of those, too.
Yeah, you really would be. And then we'll try to dive into all of them. We're going to have Gator J on with us at 5:20. We'll talk a little fantasy football with him. Just so happens, Caveman Rick, I was eliminated in our boom or bust playoff, or eliminated in that league from the playoffs, and it looks like Dalton and Nick Clark are going to be finishing above me.
Yeah, I got the 3 seed, and it looks like I get, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's Dalton in the first round.
Oh, well, good. Let me know if you'd like to collude on any collusion.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
But I try to keep it clean, though.
It's all right. Yeah. As long as they're not listening, then, it's not like we're trying to hide our plans.
Down,
yeah, exactly.
There you go.
You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. If you want to win $25 to not but that boot store, which is a great store for Western wear, give us a call now at 850-215-6290.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Colin Cowherd.
You know what Dallas is on the road. Dak's not the same. Team's not the same. It is a different team. Now, I'm not selling my Cowboy stock, but inconsistent people and inconsistent coaching and inconsistent teams don't wear rings.
The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Weekdays, ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Tuesday afternoon. The rest of the day, clear skies and 53 with a brisk wind at 10 miles per hour coming out of the north-northeast. For tonight, mostly clear skies and a low near 37. Tomorrow, a wind 5 to 10 miles per hour, partly cloudy and a high around 56. For Thursday, some sun and a high of 61. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumberyard in Panama City. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
It's time to pick your path and go big and go bold from Bill Burr Kia. You can drive away in a brand new 2024 Telluride from Bill Burr Kia. The 2024 Telluride protects what matters, and it's built for the long haul. Its technology will connect with confidence, and its upscale, all-around rugged look will take you on to the next adventure. The road is yours. Bill Burr Kia, the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us today at 2435 East 15th Street or BillBurrKia.com.
At Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, you can find all the necessary items for an unforgettable fishing experience. From pin rods and reels to the best hand-tied rigs in Florida, we have it all. With the help of our friendly and knowledgeable staff, you can be sure that you have the right gear to make that big catch. Come experience a great local bait and tackle shop located directly off 98 on the west end of Panama City Beach, located just 5 miles west of Pier Park.
We are live and local. From Camp Helen State Park to the historic Martin Theater.
Definitely time to let our hair down and have some fun.
It's the Afternoon Underdogs. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. This is the Afternoon Underdogs, and you are in the doghouse, tuned in to ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 here in Panama City and 101.9 in Port St. Joe. I'm David Hayes along with Caveman Rick, and you can call us or text us at 850-215-6290. We are also streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitter. This is our traffic jam and trivia segment. The trivia question, which I got yesterday, but we did not ask it because things got to moving just a little too fast yesterday. Who is the most penalized team in the NFL so far this season? Now, this answer might have changed depending on how many penalties the Seahawks had last night. And I don't know that off the top of my head, but we are sticking with what the answer was as of yesterday prior to MNF.
From what you said, what you got on the paper, I think, because I don't think.
Well, yeah, but the Seahawks, but these numbers were current until the Seahawks.
Yeah, right. But I'm just saying, I don't think they Seahawks had that many to go over with the other.
They were only six. There's no, this multiple choice down here has no bearing on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The Seahawks were only actually 6 behind this particular team.
That's what I'm saying, though.
Yeah.
I don't think they had enough to catch up with the particular team we're talking about.
Right. So who is the most penalized team in the NFL so far this season? Your opportunity to win $25 to not the, but that boot store and a 12-pack of Buffalo Rock. Man, if you're feeling like it's time for a new Carhartt jacket, or if your work boots are starting to come apart, and
even if you need like a new belt or like a wallet.
Yeah, they got it all over there, man. Great old Western Wear, that boot store over there, 15th Street, kind of by Bill Bird Kia. And you can win $25 right now if you just call in and answer who is the most penalized team in the NFL so far this season. Your multiple choices are the Titans, the Chiefs, the Falcons, or the Cowboys. The Titans, the Chiefs, the Falcons, or the Cowboys. Rick, what happened last night, man? The first half looked good. Looked like, Jalen Hurts struggling with an illness, but they're going to maintain. The defense is going to be okay. And then just the run defense just kind of disappeared. And then Julian Love had himself a heck of a fourth quarter. What'd you take away? What was your perspective as a Philly fan?
Mine take isn't going to be just about what happened last night. It's been about the stretch of the few games that we've had, with the, lack of success that we've been having. I think a lot of it's due to the fact that we lost both of our coordinators during the offseason. I think it's finally catching up to us, I mean, if Matt
Patricia's calling your defense, you already know there's going to be some trouble somewhere, right?
No doubt. I mean, if you're making those changes too this late in the season, it's saying something. I wondered if they were thinking of doing this sooner, or if this is just like a knee-jerk reaction kind of thing. That's the kind of thing I'm kind of wondering about and want to see myself. I mean, last night you had Jalen Hurts questioning like people's like basically commitment and wanting to I don't know if he's talking about coaching, if he's talking about players, everybody.
Talking about AJ Brown.
I don't know, and that's the thing. It's kind of cryptic. Where is that? Like, what was that supposed to be directed to? You know, and to whom? And until we find out, I'm hoping that the message got across, and it'll get squashed after this, and we can move on. But I just don't want that to open like a Pandora's box up with a bunch of other problems, and then we just start spiraling out of control.
A.J. Brown does not seem like the type of wide receiver that you could say something like that cryptically towards and he would take it the right way.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like Devontae Smith does kind of seem like a wide receiver like that. You know what I mean?
Unless you try to talk to him in the locker room, like, and we're kind of, I don't want to say blunt about it, but then this is like another way of just going out in the media and saying, hey, now, like, we need to kind of like say something more about it because you're not getting it right now.
Yeah. Was there anyone that Was there anyone that let you down in that game? I mean, I'm trying to think of it from my perspective, and when I'm watching, just is there anyone who's standing out that you that you just expect to make better plays? I don't know. I didn't see any of that last night. I did see a great post-game interview, as we all did, from Drew Lock. That meant a lot to him, and how difficult of a situation that is prior to the game. And you're in the know just as anyone else on if you're going to be playing or not. But is Geno and his groin going to be ready? Is Geno Smith going to be ready? And you just don't know. And even going, on the warm-up, like 10, 20 minutes before the game, we're getting updates Geno Smith is playing. We're getting the updates that Geno Smith is playing, and then they take the field for warm-ups, no Geno Smith. And
so fantasy.
Oh, I mean, for fantasy, that's crucial.
Like if you had Geno starting and you didn't make that change late enough.
I do hate that for the fantasy owners, and I wish that the NFL would have to, an hour before game time. But
I would have rather Geno. It looks like after last night.
Yeah, no, you definitely would have. But my other thing is I don't think that football should have to get. I don't think that the league should have to, even though that they do. I don't think that they should have to cater to, and I know it's not as much fantasy football as it is gambling on football. I wish that they didn't have to cater to that so much, but I understand why they do, and I'm not trying to get into a debate at all. It's another one of those things that because they care so much about the money, you can't tell me that don't affect some of the game sometime, man. You can't tell me that it doesn't. I know, man.
Follow the dollars, man.
You gotta follow them, man. But I just don't think that it's the same way that everyone thinks. Like, they're not just cooking games up over here. It's not following a certain game script. I just think that the Stripes have a stronger ability to manipulate things at times. But I'll save that for later as we go over to Ryan, who's riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. Ryan, you ready to play a little trivia with us?
I think I am.
All right. Who is the most penalized team in the NFL so far this season? Is it the Titans, the Chiefs, the Falcons, or the Cowboys?
I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys.
There will come a payday, my friend. Ryan, you just won $25 to not thee, but that boot store. The Cowboys have been penalized 102 times. Ryan, who is your favorite to win the Super Bowl?
Oh, I'm a Jaguar, so I got to go for my Jags.
Ooh, how'd you feel about
that?
that?
It might be a long shot, but...
Yeah, it might be a long shot, and the last couple of weeks kind of been like for Jacksonville as they have been for Philadelphia. We'll see, though. How'd you feel about that game Sunday night up against Baltimore and the Ravens?
I didn't see any of it. I really didn't.
Well, you'll have another one. You'll have another one to be able to watch here coming up shortly.
Sure.
All right, Ryan. Well, you just won $25 to Not The But That Boot Store. I appreciate you so much for calling. Do me a favor, hang on the line. Caveman Rick will grab the rest of your information.
Hey, David, one last thing real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, happy holidays one more time from everybody over here at Beef O'Brady.
Hey, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year to y'all over there at Beef O'Brady's, Pat, Ryan. And give your daughters a shout-out real quick.
Yeah, she's right here. She's sitting right next to me, Brooke is.
Shout out to Brooke, and thanks, Brooke, for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. I hope you and your family have a very Merry Christmas, and the same for the rest of us here at ESPN Northwest Florida.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man.
All right, that is Ryan, ladies and gentlemen. And again, shout out to you, Brooke. Hopefully, y'all's holidays are amazing. But yeah, Drew Lock with a heck of a game. Neither one of the quarterbacks last night were overly impressive when it comes to stats. Now, Jalen Hurts was good in the run game, but I think he only had 143 yards through the air. 2 interceptions last night. None was as impressive as the Julian Love interception late in the game, which, man, how close was that? But I do feel like that left foot, not only was there no way for them to, they didn't have enough evidence to overturn that. Not only was there not enough evidence to overturn it, but I do feel like we saw a little bit of rubble, a little bit of that tread from the turf kind of pop up there. So great game last night from the Seattle Seahawks, and now sitting at 7-7. They are still in the midst of the playoff battle. I think they're battling with 2 other NFC foes for those final spots in the NFC playoffs, or in the NFC race for the playoffs. On this day in sports history, in 1917, the first NHL game was played on not the first NHL game, but the first NHL game played on artificial ice in Toronto.
Maple Leaf Gardens, I think.
Maple Leaf Gardens. This was back in 1917, but why artificial ice, Caveman Rick?
Because they were playing like outside like rinks.
Oh,
this is like an indoor building, artificial ice. That's what they're talking about, so like, you're not out in the elements, or I don't know if they had like open roof for like, to the element type stadiums or arenas back then, but yeah, to, get people in. And, before they had the plexiglass, they used to play where they had like chain link fence.
Yeah.
Keeping pucks out.
Could you imagine that, man?
I think that'd be like, I don't want to say
It'd be
better,
like street hockey.
But okay, so you've gone to real hockey games, right? Like,
yeah.
And you got the glass. The glass kind of keeps a lot of the sound in, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you had that, I think you'd have a lot more sound getting out to the crowd, and you'd hear a lot more. And I don't know, it'd just be a whole different
sound
experience.
better.
It would sound differently.
Well, I'm saying it would sound better because now when you got guys getting hit into the chain link fence, it sounds like chain nets in basketball.
Well, it was just above the boards, but imagine too, like guys like in UFC where you got like, the chain link around there, and you're like, you get pushed up against there, like your face is up against the chain link or something that. Yeah, it'd be kind of nuts,
I think you're asking for more injuries right
Maybe
there.
so, but then again, those guys didn't get hurt so bad.
Yeah.
There was a lot more respect for one another back in the day because of the lack of safety equipment. The more safety equipment there is out there, I think there's less respect for players. Hence, you have a lot more of the cheap shots, and you have a lot more nasty injuries.
That is such a good point, especially in the NFL. And I'm not going to say that a lot of these dirty hits are because of a lack of respect, because in the game of football, it's a little different than hockey, right?
They take liberties, though, at times, thinking, well, they got pads on and stuff. They got helmets. I think if they didn't have that, people would be a little bit more conscious because, like, hey, that might be me.
And I agree with that, though. I would like to see the game without helmets.
Football without helmets, I don't know. With all the head knocking going around, it's.
But look, they play rugby.
Yeah, but they're not hitting the way they are in rugby, though. It's a little bit different. And again, rugby players, I hate to say it, man, those guys, they're not soft, man. Those guys are like tough as nails. It's like hockey players, man.
Yeah.
These guys are like our size sometimes. And you see how hard those guys play and how tough they are, where you see guys like LeBron and stuff, they get a hangnail and they're out for a week. And there's dudes like our size that are getting pummeled like every night and they still going out there.
Yeah.
It says a lot to, the type of people some of these guys are.
It's about the size of the fight in the dog at that point.
Yeah, not the size of the dog.
1976, the Piper Cherokee plane crashes into Baltimore Memorial Stadium upper stands 10 minutes after the Colts lose 40-14 to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and no one in that incident was seriously hurt. In 1984, Wayne Gretzky, who was 23, is the 18th and the youngest NHLer to score 1,000 points. In 1986, Michael Sergio, who parachuted into Shea Stadium during Game 6 of the World Series, was sentenced to 100 hours of community service, and he was fined $500.
Not a bad penance for doing that.
No, not at all.
I mean, I would do it for that.
Yeah, I mean, 100 hours of community service and
$500.
$500.
You can find somebody to probably take care of that for you.
Oh yeah, no doubt. 1987 NHL Boston Bruins Ken Linesman and St. Louis Blues Doug Gilmour set a record for the fastest 2 goals in league history, 2 seconds apart.
Pretty crazy, huh?
That is some quick scoring right there. 1989, Larry Bird begins his NBA free throw streak of 71 games. They'll let anything be an on this day here, huh? 2010, miracle at the New Meadowlands. Philadelphia Eagles trailed the New York Giants by 21 with 8 minutes to play, but then they scored 4 touchdowns in the final 7 minutes, including that walk-off punt return for a tutty by Deshaun Jackson. And then in 2018, the Houston Rockets set an NBA single game record with 26 3-pointers in a 136-118 victory over the Washington Wizards. 8 players hit from deep as the Rockets shot 26 of 55, which is 47.3%. James Harden leading the Rockets there, shooting 6 of 11 from 3-point land.
God, I love them kicking that ball to Deshaun Jackson, too.
Yeah.
Miracle of the Meadowlands 2. They say the New Meadowlands. I call it the Meadowlands 2.0.
Yeah.
But, oh, man, what a game, dude. I just remember watching that, and I just, coming back from, like, just the doldrums I was in earlier in that game to, like, the elation at the very end, and then the showboating of Deshaun Jackson at the end to run along the goal line before he went in, like, all the way down. Oh, that was just the icing on the cake.
Oh, man, that is hard to believe. That was 13 years ago.
Oh, and Tom Coughlin, dude, the look on his face when that kicker, I don't know the Giants kicker's name, but kicking it to D-Jax like that, dude, his face was red, and it wasn't because it was cold out.
He was heated. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Hour number 2 is up next. We're going to take a look at some of the NFL power rankings.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Dan Patrick Show.
The
Dallas Cowboys get roughed up on the road by the Buffalo Bills. But then Buffalo, you're going, how did they lose to Denver? Or how did they lose to New England? How did they lose to the Jets? But then they blow out Miami. They beat Kansas City. They should have beat Philadelphia. But nobody's going to want to play them.
It's the Dan Patrick Show. Weekday mornings from 9 till 11. ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Tuesday afternoon. The rest of the day, clear skies and 53 with a brisk wind at 10 miles per hour coming out of the north-northeast. For tonight, mostly clear skies and a low near 37. Tomorrow, a wind 5 to 10 miles per hour, partly cloudy and a high around 56. For Thursday, some sun and a high of 61. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Northwest Florida's home for college football bowl games. WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards and Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at InstantReplaySportsCards.com.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs.
This 53-man roster is stupid.
Where it's halftime all the time.
Raise the rosters, you cheapskate owners, and get that done now.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
$5 a pop. It's cheaper than Uber. You can send that to my Venmo.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
It is hour number 2 of the Afternoon Underdogs. You're tuned in to ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 here in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. You can call or text us at 850-215-6290. We're also streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitter, all at ESPN Northwest Florida. And we also have the app. You can go to your Apple Store or your Google Play Store, type in 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Rick, before we dive into some of these power rankings here, I want to go over some of the headlines, but first I want to start off with what we've been searching for here in Panama City. Now, this is a top 5 list of different searches. So and this is all dealing with the area. It's Google searches. It's a list brought to you by Google that has to do with what Panama City as an area searched for. So the top near me searches for 2023. Coming in at number 5, Caveman Rick, for Panama City areas, top near me searches. Number 5, dispensary ramps near me.
Dispensary ramps?
Yeah, that's what I was like.
Why a ramp, though, is what I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, I know what the dispensary's about, but
you got to go skating after you visit the dispensary, right?
I guess so. Or I mean, like an off ramp or an on ramp, like getting off the highway.
It could be like a handicap ramp.
That might be too. You know,
it could be that. Number 4, barbershop food near me.
Barbershop food. We may need to ask Boston Tim about that. You know any?
Yeah, Mr. Eddie's got some
food.
Yeah, I know that they do a little FBF, something for free on Friday, but you can just go follow Mr. Eddie's on Facebook for that. Number 3 is a pawn shop near me.
A lot of people looking to move some hot items, possibly.
There you go. Got a couple of good options around here. Number 2 was another little combo here. Winery gas near me.
Winery gas?
Yeah, so I guess you got to get your wine and gas up at the same time.
We got a winery here, but how do you combine the two? That's just, man.
I don't know, but I know that
around here?
I know that you heighten your odds of a DUI if you're trying to get some wine and some gas at the same time. And then last but not least, because it's number 1 here for the top near me searches for Panama City in 2023, estate sales alley near me. So not just estate sales near me, but it's got to be an estate sale in an alley, because that is where you're going to find the best deals. I don't know if you've been to any estate sales lately, but when you can find the ones that are in the alley, that's when you get the cream of the crop.
Unfortunately, I guess it's because of the state we live in, Florida, man. A lot of retirees. There's a lot of people looking for estate sales, I guess, after people move on.
Hey, estate sales are, you can find some pretty good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, all an estate sale, though, is like a garage sale, but they're selling everything. And ain't just like, just a couple miscellaneous things out of like their closet or something, you know?
Yes, sir. The Panama City area's top versus searches for 2023. So this had to have versus mentioned in the search. Number 5, Denver versus Miami. I'm a little disappointed, but not to a large extent, and I'll tell you why after we get through the top 5. Denver versus Miami. So that's the 70-20 football game where Miami Dolphins just obliterated the Denver Broncos. Number 4, Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou. Number 3, Florida versus LSU baseball. So that's the national championship from college baseball here in 2023. Number 2, Tank versus Ryan Garcia. And number 1, Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz. So 3 out of the 5 were fighting searches.
And when you said verses originally, I thought it was going to pull up like song lyrics, verses from songs.
Oh, gotcha.
You know?
No, this is just, I guess, more like a sporting type
for sports
search.
and stuff. But like when you're typing that in there too, I don't know what it's going to pull up.
Interesting though that 3 of the 5 here are fight related. So y'all need to be getting to Beat Down at the Beach. I think they've got one coming up in Fort Walton January 20th. I think the next time that they're back here, it's going to be at Edgewater February 3rd. But just keep it locked in.
Shows you how big MMA is right now too.
Well, exactly, and why I'm trying to push people to go check out Beat Down at the Beach, because it's right here in our backyard, and it's just as entertaining, if not more entertaining, because these guys are fighting to get to
they're
where
trying
those
to make
guys
a name
are.
for themselves, man. And it's local stuff, local people. It's up close. It's affordable. It's great entertainment.
Speaking of Jake Paul, he's going to be partnering with Team USA Boxing. He's 26. He's going to travel to the Olympic Training Center in Colorado and the Olympics with the boxing national team, and essentially cover what they're doing on his social media channels, with the hope of building awareness and growing popularity for the team specifically, and amateur boxing in general. In addition, Paul will advise athletes on how to grow their own brands, and Jake Paul has done a tremendous job of growing his brand into all that it has. In fact, you know that he just had a fight like Friday night?
No.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, I mean that in a very positive, I mean this as positive as I can. Like, he just had a fight and no one was talking about it, and he's still going out here and doing his thing, and not just doing it for him, but doing it for his country. And then for these Olympic athletes to be able to learn from a guy like Jake Paul, who's only 26 years old, but has done tremendous things with his brand. I think that's really good on him.
The fight must have not have been that big, though. If it was a bigger deal, I'm sure we would have heard about it, though.
First round knockout.
Well, I'm sure, it was Tomato Can he was probably playing against or fighting against, So, I mean, that's no different than, Alabama taking on Citadel week 2.
Yeah. I'm very surprised, though, in the versus searches for 2023, we didn't have more football in there, or at least, where is CFP Committee 2023 or FSU left out? Or, well, obviously, those aren't versus searches, so that leaves that out, and I'm just not making sense up here. Panama City, this is the last one we'll go into, the Panama City area's top TV show searches for 2023. All of these should be some type of ESPN show, but they're not. The TV show searches for 2023 coming in at number 5. I don't know any of these shows. The Night Agent, never heard of it. The Golden Bachelor.
Yeah,
I'm guessing that's like The Bachelor, but
old guy.
Okay, old Bachelor. So the Old Bachelor, they could have done that instead of the Golden Bachelor. I would have been able to understand that.
Golden's golden.
Oh, yeah.
Or whatever, anniversary type stuff.
Daisy Jones and the Six, never heard of it.
Yeah, no. The only Daisy I remember is Daisy Duke.
Daisy Dukes, absolutely. I know that one. Vanderpump Rules.
I've heard of that. It's like one of those just dumb reality shows. Well, I'm sorry if anybody follows it, but something a lot of time women watch, I think.
Okay. And then The Last of Us, which I thought was a video game, but I guess that's a TV show that they made a video game about it.
What's that?
The Last of Us.
Oh, that was a video game. I think it's on HBO. And from what it sounds like it might be pretty cool. But I'm interested in is I think it's Netflix is coming out with a Fallout series in April based off the Fallout video game series. That looks pretty dope. It's all done in CGI though, so they can do all kinds of crazy stuff with that to make it just like the video game.
Oh,
that'll
yeah,
be pretty
man.
Interesting.
That will be interesting. All right, a couple of headlines, and then we'll dive into our power rankings. Kalen DeBoer was named the AP Coach of the Year. He received 30 of the 52 first-place votes, and he had 113 points overall from the top 25 poll voters in the AP. Florida State, Mike Norvell had 57 points, and Missouri's Eli Drinkwitz had 38, and Jed Fish out of Arizona had 28. Those were the only other coaches to receive multiple first-place votes. DeBoer is the first Washington coach to be named the AP Coach of the Year, and just the third Pac-12 coach to win the award in the past 25 years, joining Mike McIntyre, who did it at Colorado in 2016, so only 7 years ago, and then Chip Kelly, who did it with Oregon in 2010. Aaron Rodgers has came out and said he will not return this year, but he is ready to play in 2024. Well, It's not shocking that he's not playing now, but had the Jets beat the Dolphins Sunday, I think that this is totally flipped and Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think it's like he was just wanting to, I think we've heard on the Dan Patrick show before. It's a big I told you so moment for the guy. If he can come back and he can play, then he kind of laughs and scoffs at everybody in their face that told him that he wasn't going to be able to come back.
Right, but I don't think that he does that without any real opportunity to play in the playoffs.
And I feel that, but I still think, too, in the grand scheme of things, I think, for his sake, I think in the long run he's going to be glad he didn't come back, because I think he'd probably fall flat on his face after, being on the, couch for so long, and then you're wanting to come out and try to play meaningful football this late in the year and try to knock the rust off. I just don't see how it's going to work out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that it gives them a better opportunity than what Wilson does or what Boyle does.
The interesting thing is, what are they going to do with the team, as far as coaching staff and all that, if they're going to make changes or not? That's going to be the big, conundrum.
I read an article that they're talking about, or people are saying they need to get rid of Hackett. And I almost, to some extent, feel bad for Hackett. You're coming in to, the job, and they basically bring you in to get Aaron Rodgers there. Aaron Rodgers goes down within the first 5 plays of your season, and now it's we've got to get Hackett out of there when Hackett didn't even get an opportunity to hack it with his quarterback.
Yeah, you don't get to see what they can do with one another unless that's coming from someplace else like Aaron Rodgers, or maybe he's saying, hey, after all this, maybe he's not the guy. Maybe we need to do something different.
But how are you supposed to know if he's the guy when the guy's ain't on the field?
I hear you, but the way stuff is nowadays,
someone's got to be the scapegoat.
Somehow or another, or people just get fickle. Like I said, a guy like Aaron Rodgers can be looking at, next year might be it, man. I got to make sure if I'm going to play next year, I got a really good opportunity. And he might be looking at, the way they've been running this offense with these offensive, linemen and stuff, maybe we got to do something different if I'm going to come back. Because if not, I'm going to get killed again, and I'm going to be rupturing my other Achilles.
There you go. Speaking of fickle, the Atlanta Fickle Falcons have benched Ritter again. Heineke is going to make the start versus the Colts, and Mason Rudolph is going to be starting instead of Trubisky for the Steelers going up against the Bengals. Man, Steelers, they're
perfect time for Rudolph, though,
yeah,
man. This is the weekend right now, yo. You know what I'm saying? He's getting ready for Santa, Rudolph is. You got Mason Rudolph starting for the Steelers. It's all coming together.
Yeah, just too bad that this game wasn't going to be up against the Browns instead of the Bengals.
Yeah, no doubt.
That little Myles Garrett, Mason Rudolph, I think, man, just have that be the logo for the entire game.
Or if they were playing maybe in the frozen tundra up in Green Bay or something like that, might be a little fitting, snowy and kind of with the theme.
Talia Tungavai, Talia's not playing in the Music City Bowl, man. And I was going to pick Maryland, but for some reason I didn't think he was going to be playing in this game. I like Maryland over Auburn with Talia, but no Talia Tungavailoa. He's headed to he's going to be preparing for the NFL draft. If I'm Talia, I play another year, man.
Yeah, I mean, where's he going to go? 3rd, 4th round? I mean, he's not a first rounder.
He's not a first
Probably
rounder.
Not a second rounder. That's why I was saying 3rd or 4th. And I mean, that's just me being just kind of ignorant about some of the stuff and just speculating to where he might go just because of the name. And, he's got, enough years underneath his belt that maybe he would, fall some ways or be slotted somewhere in there. But I could be wrong there even.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he has any eligibility left at this point in time.
I would have figured because of COVID he'd still have a year or something, like a lot of other guys out there.
Just he did take, he is the leading passer of all time for the Big Ten, so there is that you can kind of hang your hat on, but we'll see what the future holds for Talia in the NFL. I mean, it would be interesting if he ever did get the opportunity to start.
How about Miami draft him? Probably his brother.
Well, I was going to say if he got drafted somewhere else, like I was going to try to say another AFC East team, but I can't see either 3 of those teams taking a flyer on someone.
I don't know, man. Patriots are horrible at drafting.
Okay,
look at the quarterbacks they've drafted.
The Patriots definitely might be in the market for a quarterback, but I guess what I was getting at is I would love to see a Talia versus Tua NFL game.
That'd be kind of cool. Brothers going against one another, a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, We've already got the we got the Tua versus Jalen and Tua versus Mac this year.
We need to see the brother that's like the defensive end going against the brother that's the quarterback and seeing how that goes. That's what I want to see.
Like if Joey or Nick Bosa would have ended up playing quarterback.
Exactly, man. That would, to me, would be sick. That's the kind of stuff you want to see there, because you want to see if they're going to come at each other pretty hard or if they're going to let up a little bit.
Let's talk about one of your favorite players of all time and one of the greatest of all time at the same time, and Tom Brady defending DeMonte Casey. He says nobody likes seeing players get hurt, but hard hits happen. This was on a Instagram post. When they were talking about the suspension. Quarterbacks should not be throwing the ball in areas where they are exposing their own teammates to these type of hits. Coaches need to coach better. QBs need to read coverages and throw the ball to the right places, and defenders should aim for the right hitting areas. To put the blame on the defensive player all the time is just flat out wrong. Need better QB play. It's not okay, QBs, to get your wide receivers hit because of your bad decisions. Do you agree with this statement?
I mean, yes and no. I mean,
come on,
Tom Brady,
give me a full-on degree.
Tom Brady, again, with like comments that he's talking about, like he's been out of the league for some great amount of time when it's not even been a full season yet, and talking about like he's this old hand. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Remember when Kurt Warner laid out Anquan Bolden, and Anquan went out for that ball, and he got like his jaw broke, and he got knocked out. It's not great if you do that, but I mean, big ups to the wide receivers that won't alligator arm, balls like that, and they'll actually go and try to, complete the play. But talking about that play that happened, unfortunately, I mean, yeah, what are you going to do? The ball's thrown like kind of low. Your guy's going down low to get it. The only other option for the defender is to not actually hit the wide receiver. You can't do that. You're getting paid a lot of money. You can't just let up and not make the play. The league and the fans and everybody just needs to understand it's a violent game. And just because somebody gets injured doesn't mean it warrants a flag or a penalty or an ejection or anything like that. I mean, right is right, wrong is wrong. A dirty play is a dirty play. But if it's clean and it's something that, was kind of uncontrollable, man, let them play the game. Swallow the whistle.
Yeah, and they need to have a history of breaking the rules. You know what I mean? They need to have a history of that. Then there needs to be a review after the game, and there needs to be 3 or 4 people saying, yes, that was, he had malicious intent behind that.
Right.
That was not a football play. And it goes back to, Caveman Rick, something you said earlier, and these guys, when they're playing a game like this, need to have respect for the other people. And I think a lot of these NFL players do. I really do believe that, they know that they're playing a tough, violent game, and a lot of them, when they're making these hits, are not doing it with the intention of causing anything other than doing their job.
Players in the locker room, I feel, need to police themselves. You need to have, sometimes, a captain of a team, I mean, it might sound wrong, man. Code red them, dude. Get them in the locker room and, rough them up. Do what you got to do, but let them know, hey, man, this doesn't fly. You can't be doing this stuff, whether it's against another team, and causing, your team, to take penalties and, lose yardage and, you get ejected, or if it's with an own teammate or, somebody like a Draymond Green or something, jacking a teammate in the face.
Or somebody like Jason Kelce, man.
Like what?
Now, I'm being very facetious right now, but hasn't he been getting a lot of those? And it's not necessarily a false start, but it's him moving the ball a little bit too much before
I think he's doing the same thing a lot of other people are doing, but I think he's just getting, he's finally getting called for it, and we're just getting a lot of attention now.
Because he's the most famous center in the league by a long shot.
Yeah, no doubt. He gets a lot of attention. So because of that, but you have to be aware of that as well, too.
Yeah.
If you're a guy getting a lot of attention, you need to be conscious to think that, hey, man, a lot of eyes are on me, so now anything that I do is going to be scrutinized a lot more, so I better watch what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Brady to get into that role, and I love Greg Olsen, so it's going to be interesting to see what Fox does, but I want Brady to come with this same type of energy, because it doesn't matter if he's right or wrong, but the fact that he has these thoughts and he's still very close to the game, I appreciate that.
I think he's kind of smug with it, though, man. I think he needs to tone it down a little bit. He's talking down to a lot of these guys, he's so high and mighty because he's on this pedestal,
Yeah.
He didn't do these things is what
right.
The way I'm hearing it come out of his mouth is he's better than these guys. I didn't do this, and you need to be more like me almost. And it might just be me being biased because I just don't like the guy a whole lot just because of his past and stuff.
I think it has a tinge to do with it, but I think you have a fair.
Well, it's
gripe.
not just this comment; it's a few of his comments consecutively over the past few months when he's
like essentially the state of the NFL.
Yes, exactly. And he's sitting here and it's like, dude, the state of the NFL. The reason why it is the way it is, it helped you out your whole entire career, and now you're saying like all this stuff isn't good. Like, get off your high horse, man. If it wasn't for all this, you wouldn't have won 6 Super Bowls.
What about speaking of high horse? What about Rashard Mendenhall?
What about him?
You haven't seen anything about that?
No,
we'll save that for 540 then. That was one of those. That's one of those topics that if you don't come into it with humor, you're going to get blasted with. So we'll talk a little bit about Rashard Mendenhall and the all-white versus all-black Pro Bowl game that he brought to the table on Twitter yesterday. And more funny than that was Will Compton responding to that with the parameters of the game and then the all-white lineup for what the game was.
They could also do, like, if you remember Chappelle's show where they had the racial draft.
Yeah.
Do it that way.
Oh boy.
Lord.
You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. We're going to take a break here for about 2 minutes. When we get back, we're going to talk some fantasy football with Gator J.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The Afternoon Underdogs.
Do you think as many people are as interested now in the Florida State-Georgia game as what they would have been? And not people, but players primarily. You see what I'm saying? If they know that they're in the college football playoff, then all of a sudden you've got more players and eyes on that, and it's like you watch them get blown out there, and it stings a little
4
bit.
to 6 weekdays. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Tuesday. Partly cloudy tonight with a brisk wind coming out of the east-northeast at 8 miles per hour and temps near 37. We will have some clouds and wind speed of 10 miles per hour tomorrow morning and be warm at 51. And mostly cloudy in the afternoon and evening and a high 58. Some sun Thursday with a temp of 61. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Chuck was terrible at fishing. He spent many frustrating hours attempting to get results he saw from internet videos, aggravating trial and error fishing trips, and misguided advice from well-intended friends. Chuck is happy now with his newfound success after he visited Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, where we keep fishing fun, simple, and successful. See us soon at Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, located directly off Highway 98 on the west end of Panama City Beach.
Visit the newly remodeled Mid-South Lumber Hardware and Feed Store in Youngstown. They have a full line of plumbing, electrical, hardware, and tools for your DIY home projects, as well as lumber and animal feed. Now offering not only baby chicks and a full line of poultry supplies, but also bunnies and parakeets. They also carry a wide selection of Duplin wines and gourmet products so you don't have to drive to the beach. Come see us at Mid-South Lumber on Highway 231 in Youngstown.
Go time all the time. Sports talk around the clock.
Oh my gosh!
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back into the Doghouse. I'm David Hayes along with Caveman Rick. We are the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 here in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. You can call or text us at 850-215-6290. As now we're going to talk a little fantasy football with the one and only Gator J. He is the producer for Fantasy and Frames. Gator J, what's going on?
What is happening? How are we doing, fellas?
We're doing amazing down here in Northwest Florida. Are the Bills, after that huge win against the Cowboys, are they a legitimate threat in the playoffs?
Absolutely. Nobody, I don't think anybody but the Bills fans want them in the playoffs right now. Nobody wants to see that team in the playoffs. The way they can absolutely run the ball. And I believe I brought this up last week. What they're finally doing with Cook in the backfield is phenomenal. And, of course, we know what Josh Allen can be when he puts his mind to it, as long as he's not turning the ball over I saw a stat last night that was absolutely crazy to me. And we've talked about Josh Allen throwing the picks here in the last few games. I think it was like eight games in a row where he had a pick. The Bills are 20-0 when Allen does not throw an interception.
Wow. So you'd think it would be
a shocking little stat.
Yeah, that is a shocking stat. And you'd think it would be paramount for them to not be toying around in the red zone then. Is like if the numbers are undefeated with something, then the main thing, our main focus needs to be Josh Allen not throwing an interception. Or just
and it's not like it's a small sample size either.
Yeah.
It's pretty good sample size.
20-0. What did you think of the Cowboys just not showing up for that game?
I've said this multiple times. I truly think the Cowboys are fraudulent. It's a fraudulent team. Great defense. Yes, they can throw the ball over the yard, but when they play good teams, they kind of just fold up 10.
I think they're not
even. Yeah, they're a great front runner, but I mean, I just don't see them doing anything. It's the normal. It's the Cowboys that we've grown up with, right? Even with Tony Romo, they've got everything they can to get to the playoffs, and then they get there and it's like, we were just messing with you. We're ready to go on vacation too.
It reminds me of a team in college football up north. Some would call them the team up north in the Michigan Wolverines. Yeah. We'll see if they can put it together this year and come away with the college football playoff national championship. Gator J, let's see here. Should users this is pertaining to me and to a few of the leagues that I'm in. Should users who are eliminated from the playoffs, if they're not going to be in the playoffs, should they stay away from the waiver wire?
I think that all depends upon, the ultimate answer is probably yes, but it also depends upon if there is a punishment for last place.
Oh,
or what if there's a keeper league and you want to keep somebody?
Well, no, then the keeper league is like a dynasty, in my opinion. You just keep rolling, right? There is no. You have to be able to upgrade your team because, again, in a dynasty, you're in a keeper league, you're looking to keep those players going, right? The only way it should not be used, or the only people that should not be using it, is if there is a punishment, and that would make it to where, for instance, you gotta run around, Panama City Pier and carrying a flag says I suck at fantasy football.
Yeah.
Or like sit at a Waffle House for 24 hours.
Yep. Eat a pancake an hour for 24 hours.
Yep.
Whatever that punishment. So if there is a punishment of some significance, then absolutely they should be allowed to get to the waiver wire.
Gotcha.
If they are if it's just basically whoever's in the playoffs is in the playoffs and everybody else is just, it's whatever, no punishment, I would highly recommend stay away from the waiver wire. Let the ones that are in it matter, or let the ones that are in it and are mattering to the league fight it out.
I like that. I like that take. So, Caveman Rick, I'll let you have all the waiver wires since you're in the playoffs. You can have all of the guys on the waiver. I'll just sit back and I'll just watch how you guys play it out.
I'm only sitting third out of 6, though, so that means I'm not going to get everybody, though.
Yeah, that's a good point. Hey, if my
that's why you play in fab leagues. That's why you play in fab leagues, and you save a little bit, and you just bet that $1 more and really piss everybody off.
And it is a fab league that we're playing in.
It is a fab league, yeah. I still got like $137. I
got like $13 left.
Yep. Well, hey, you played the waiver wire, and you've gotten to that third overall position, and somebody else didn't play the waiver wire. And
I played the waiver wire. I played the waiver wire, Gator J. I just didn't pay a lot for players.
Yeah, we didn't do like one of our guys in our league that paid all of his fab money, $200 for Jerome
Ford, and he won. He was the regular season champion.
Right.
Oh my goodness, man! Sometimes just I need it to make sense, Gator J, and sometimes it just doesn't.
They don't call it fantasy football for a reason.
Yeah,
no doubt.
So with our league, how we do the keepers, I think it's the same. How most leagues do their keepers is wherever you draft. We just do the one keeper, and wherever you drafted them at is where you get them the next year. and you lose that draft spot. I got Mostert very late.
But off waivers, though, it ends up being your last pick.
Yeah. If you got him off waivers, it ends up being your last pick. But I drafted Raheem Mostert very late. My question to you, Gator J, is should I entertain the idea of keeping him? Because he's 31, and the Dolphins going into this year, Mostert, we didn't even know if Mostert would be the true number one back because they had so many options over there, and then a bunch of injuries started to happen. Should I entertain the idea of keeping Raheem Mostert?
I mean, I guess you could entertain it. I just don't know without looking at the rest of your team. I don't know that he's going to be on the Dolphins next year. He's on a one-year deal, and with them having a Chain, Wilson, Ahmed, they still got a couple guys on the practice squad. Like I believe Jordan Scarlett's still there. So they've got these younger kids. Yeah, Mostert's done a great job. He's going to get paid somewhere. But we all know how these running backs move on somewhere else, and they're just, even with Raheem Mostert, when he was in San Francisco, this is the most he's had. He's got more touchdowns right now than he's gotten his whole career combined prior to this year.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And in the 7 years. That's insane. And now we're discussing him as a top-end running back, and sitting here having to sit there and decide, okay, I got him in the 14th, 15th, 16th round, and now I've got to make a decision. Do I keep him, or is somebody going to get him way earlier? I've let somebody else have that problem.
I think that is honestly the way you even started approaching answering this question. I was like, yep, I've already answered that one right off rip.
My top waiver grab was Tank Dell. I might end up keeping him for next year as my last one.
Yeah, wow. What a grab for you right there, Caitlin. That's awesome.
That's like our boy Dalton that got Puka Nacua.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got Puka off of waivers in like week 6. Somebody decided they're dropping.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, snatch.
That's a lucky one.
Yeah.
Who surprised you this week, Gator J?
Oh, probably the biggest surprise, and not in a good way, was just the absolute failure of the Jacksonville offense and Trevor Lawrence as a whole. I mean, it was ugly. It was absolutely ugly. I know he had 260 some odd yards passing, but 90% of that was in garbage time, right? It was atrocious what that passing game looked like. I mean, yes, Calvin Ridley, that was a touchdown. I don't care. It was a touchdown. It is clear as day it was a touchdown. That probably would have made the day look better for both of them. But then, going into the half and just having a complete meltdown, not spiking the ball, because you have no timeouts. It was just an ugly way to have in prime time on Sunday Night Football, mind you. But it was ugly by the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, I was wondering about that last night. I know that you're talking about Sunday Night Football, but even last night, early in the, fourth quarter, it was either early in the fourth or late in the third, and you had the Seahawks taking those timeouts. I'm like, man, those are going to prove to be valuable later on, and somehow Pete Carroll managed mismanaging those timeouts. Yeah, and one of the timeouts that he called was it gave you guys an opportunity. It gave the Eagles an opportunity to challenge the play at that point. It's like, what are you doing? But they ended up coming away with the win there. So on the flip side of that, Caveman Rick,
I was just going to say, how about a big surprise for me? I was looking at James Cook, man, with the Bills, and I was going to ask, so do you think James Cook is on lock now by Joe Brady? And this is going to be the way that the Bills are going to attack, offensively, running the ball, taking some pressure off of Josh Allen, and continuing this? Because, man, that's what the one thing everybody's been saying. If the Bills ever got a running game, look out.
Yep. No, I absolutely, I 100% do. If you look back over his last 4 games, 4 or 5 games, I believe it is, since the Denver game, and we know Denver's not a great defense, especially against the run, but over 100 yards there, he's averaging somewhere in that 18 to 20, 22 range, somewhere in that range for fantasy points, because he's not just doing it on the ground, he's also doing it through the air. So in PPR leagues, it's huge getting 4 and 5 receptions for these running backs. And then they're adding touchdowns both in the air and on the ground as well. 180 yards on the ground this past week against what we thought was one of these, either the second or third best defenses in the league, at least against the run. And they just got gashed left and right. They couldn't stop James Cook if James Cook was stopped. They was just every time he touched the ball, it seemed like he got 5 yards.
Wow.
In fact, he did. It's 7.16 yards per carry is what he averaged.
Golly.
Dallas away from home, man, not playing on that track. I'm telling you, man, that's their Achilles heel. If they don't play at home, I think they're done in the playoffs.
Well, they better hurry up. I mean, they've got what do they got coming up? They've got don't they have a little rough sketch?
Yeah, they got Dolphins, I think. Is it Dolphins?
Cowboys got the Dolphins this week.
And somebody else? Oh, no, they already played the 49ers. Dolphins?
They got Miami, Detroit, and then, of course, at Washington. But 2 of those games are on the road. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they can hang on not only to the East, but if they can hang on to that top, three seed and get a bye or get a home game rather. It's going to be rough for them if they don't get a home game. It's going to be the same old Cowboys.
Who was the sleeper of the week last week, Gator J?
Sleeper. Well, I mean, it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire, right? There's no way that we thought he was going to be anything. Even when Pacheco went down, we're like, okay, well, they're just going to throw the ball 10 times, 1,000 times a game. And you look at his last 2 games, he's getting, averaging 12 carries over the last 2 games against Buffalo. It wasn't a great day, but still got a great bit of the volume, over 50% of the snaps, again, with McKinnon in that backfield as well. But he's getting it. Like I said about James Cook, he's also doing it through the air. And that was an amazing catch, by the way, in the end zone for him this past week against New England. But, yeah, I mean, it's not overwhelming yards. But again, he's getting the opportunities. He's getting the receptions. If it was me and he's on my waiver wire, I think that's somebody that I'm going to be looking real hard at. I mean, you can also look at McKinnon. McKinnon's also getting it through the air. But I mean, you want a piece of this offense. Clyde Edwards-Helaire getting the touchdown was a big, big, big deal.
That's a good point. Who is the sleeper of the week for this week?
Tyler Boyd.
Ooh.
Dare I say?
Okay.
With Chase, I believe he has a separated shoulder. Excuse me. I think he's got a separated shoulder. We've seen that the usage that Browning wants to throw the ball. So it looks like they're going to be, yes, you'll still have T. Higgins involved, but Tyler Boyd, getting 5 receptions or 5 targets, 7 targets, somewhere in that range. If he can haul in 4 of them and a touchdown, we could be talking. And it's up against Pittsburgh in division. So you got a divisional game at Pittsburgh. Mika Fitzpatrick's probably going to be covering Higgins most of the time. So Tyler Boyd could see a good bit of action. I think that could be a sleeper that you would maybe not a sleeper, but somebody you should be definitely keeping an eye on if he's available in your league.
Higgins came off that big game with that sick catch in the end zone, like where he got the ball right across the pylon when he spun around backwards. That was pretty sick. Talk about awareness of where you are on the field. Mm-hmm. Holy cow, what a play. Great call on that.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the grabs of the weekend. One that I think is almost getting overshadowed by some of the great catches we had over this week, though, was Joe Flacco finding David Njoku on the right side of the end zone where he was just kind of rolling out a little bit. I thought he was going to throw the ball away, and he just throws a bullet, and it felt like David Njoku just had some super glue on his hands, some stickum on his hands, and came away with the catch there. But what have you thought about Flacco? Is Flacco someone that you can, if you need one of those quarterbacks, if you're dealing with an injury possibly, is Joe Flacco an serviceable possibility?
Yeah, I mean, what he's done over the last few weeks. I mean, and then he gets Houston this week, which is it's not the greatest defense out there. You probably were look, if you watched this game, you were probably like, oh crap, here's the Joe Flacco, is not as cool as we thought he was. He throws those 3 interceptions, but as soon as the rain let up, boom, down the field he goes, 300 yards after the rain. He's a veteran. He's got some veteran pieces in the wide receiving room. I mean, yeah, you can trust him. You can trust him. You can trust him.
Good stuff there. And then the Senior Bowl coming up soon. You're going to be going to that. What are you looking forward to seeing the most, or who are you looking forward to seeing the most at the Senior Bowl?
You know what? I am going to the Senior Bowl, and I have not even started doing my research on it yet. This will be my first time going. I got my media credentials, so I'll actually be able to get down and actually talk to the players, talk to some of the others, members that are going to be there. I'm honestly looking to just go in and just take it all in.
Take it all in, yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, I've talked to you about it. I've talked to a couple others, and everybody's like, dude, you are going to have such a blast. And I think I'm going to be there from like Tuesday to Saturday.
Oh, you're going you're really going to get the full
plenty
deal.
of time to actually get in there and do a lot.
Well, yeah, because there's so many things that are going on the week leading up to that, and your opportunities with Radio Row.
A few hours, right?
Yeah, when we go up there on Saturday. They had an issue with the tickets last time. They left them at the hotel, so they had to go back and get them. So we didn't even get into the gate until right before the game started. But I mean, the highlight of that was running into Charles Davis. So that was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. He was in conversation with someone else, so I didn't get to shake his hand. But it was one of those, like, hey man, that's the voice of Madden, and he calls a lot of, or one of the voices of Madden, and he calls a lot of those Tennessee Titans games as well. But Gator J, as always, man, what do you want to leave our listeners with, and then where can they find your content when they're looking for answers coming this weekend for fantasy football?
Yeah, absolutely. You can always find us over at Fantasy in Frames on Twitter, on basically all the social media sites, Instagram, TikTok, all of that kind of good stuff. Go over to fantasyinframes.com. You can see all of our articles, links to all the rankings, all of that kind of good stuff. Tomorrow night we have the Dynasty 365 show at 8 o'clock. Then the Fourth and Frames guys at 9, which I will actually be on that show this week. So if you want to see my ugly mug and come in there to chat and yell at me, there's the spot to do it tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. And then, of course, we'll have our Sunday morning. I'm not quite sure of how we're doing it this week. I think we may be moving our pregame show to Saturday with all the Christmas holidays and all of that happening on Monday. But I think we may be moving it to Saturday. So just keep an eye out on the YouTube and on the Twitter for that, for when we finally finalize all of that kind of good stuff. But absolutely, hit me up if you got questions, start sit questions, waiver wire questions, how much fab should you spend, anything like that. Hit me up in the messaging over on Twitter there at FantasyJ77. But happy holidays to everybody, including both you, Caveman, and you, Dave. Really, really appreciate you guys, and more importantly, to the listeners, happy holidays.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Merry Christmas. Glad to have you on, and glad that we've been talking to you for a while, man. You got great stuff. Thanks a lot, Joe. It's awesome.
Absolutely appreciate you guys. Y'all have a great evening.
You as well. Merry Christmas to you and yours. Gator J, it's been a great ride, as Caveman Rick mentioned. Definitely excited about having them next year and leading into that. Derek Tate does a great job for us as well. Instead of having him on Friday this week, Caveman Rick, we're going to have him on Thursday. So that should be another good segment, and maybe we'll chat with Gator J one more time ahead of the fantasy week, because we're Friday. We're only going until 5:30 because we have a bowl game, Georgia Tech UCF. Georgia Tech UCF is going to be going on Friday.
And of course, it's fantasy playoffs, man. People need their info. They got to win those leagues, man. Win their money.
That they do. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Your Minute with Max is coming up next.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Coach James Hale Show.
Coach Moon, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing just fine. Coach, I've told you before, don't be singing on the air.
So
No, it was really good, but they didn't have a witness, so I can't really claim the score.
Well, you told me you're 3 under. 1 under a bush, 1 underwater, 1 under a house. So,
Weekday morning 7 to 9. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Tuesday. Partly cloudy tonight with a brisk wind coming out of the east-northeast at 8 miles per hour and temps near 37. We will have some clouds and wind speed of 10 miles per hour tomorrow morning and be warm at 51. And mostly cloudy in the afternoon and evening and a high 58. Some sun Thursday with a temp of 61. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards and Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at InstantReplaySportsCards.com.
Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, this is Tim.
Do y'all sell bait?
Yes, we seasonally stock live shrimp, live bull minnows, live sand fleas, live fiddler crabs, earthworms, night crawlers, crickets. We also stock frozen shrimp, sand fleas, mullet, squid, pre-rigged ballyhoo, bonita, stingray, cigar minnows, Boston mackerel, Spanish mackerel, and a few other miscellaneous baits. It's worth the drive to buy premium locally sourced bait from Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, located directly off Highway 98 on the west end of Panama City Beach.
It moves fast. The High School Spotlight. Weekdays at 5:40.
Let's do it.
Sponsored by Barbaritos. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. It is the final segment of the afternoon. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. You're tuned in to ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 here in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. I'm David Hayes along with Caveman Rick. It is now time for your Minute with Max Delighten, your lending lad. Max, what's going on, brother?
What's up? It's your tardy minute with Max today. How are you doing?
Yeah, it is a little bit tardy today, but it's all right. We will excuse this since it's not an absence. It'll be an excuse tardy.
Thank you, Dave.
You are welcome. So we had Lexi Griffin in the building with us earlier, and she said that the reason you didn't come in is because you're just scared because she would beat you one-on-one in basketball.
I know she doesn't believe that.
So y'all have never played before then?
No, Danny, so the story behind that is when I used to work with her father, Danny, he was talking about how, she could take me, and then he didn't realize I used to play basketball. So he rescinded his bet of any amount of money very quickly.
Ah, well, so I kind of want to officiate this before she heads back to college. Like, I think one of these days when we finally get up to play pickleball together, then we find a court and we invite Lexi, and then I watch you guys battle.
Oh, yes. I don't really feel good about dominating a 19, 20-year-old girl in basketball, but whatever gets you guys clicks, man.
You can look at it like that, or you can look at it like you're going up against a D1 athlete. I mean, she's a little bit taller than I expected. I think she might be able to take me if she's got some good handles. But she would have to have the good handles.
Yeah. We'd have to, handicap, I can only shoot lefty or something.
Oh, boy, I love the trash talking. Maybe we'll just...
not trash talk, dude. I'm telling you, it's basketball up north is a lot different than Florida basketball.
Oh, so from your pops, he chimes in. He says Lexi would beat Max.
That's hilarious.
Oh, man, now we're going to have to get this thing going for real, Max.
He's just instigating.
Yeah, he is. I love this, man. No, but, Danny G did a great job in raising Lexi. She's a heck of an athlete. But let's talk a little sports here with Max Delighten. First off, tell the people what it is that you do, how you can help them, and how they can reach you.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Over at Allegiant Lending Firm in Springfield, I can help you with any of your home financing needs, single-family, condo, you name it. actually closed a few loans for some of our listeners, which is pretty cool. When people text and they're like, "Hey, is that you on the radio?" So, I mean, they recognize your voice a lot more than me, but it's cool that we have people that we work with that are listening every day, too.
Heck yeah, that is absolutely awesome, man. And really cool that you can get recognized from that, and then also get recognized at the very same thing or very flip side of that for your hard work and how you can help people. I mean, a lot of people don't realize how intricate that process is, and you guys over there at Allegiant Lending do a great job. I wanted to ask you, because I didn't really get to look into this, but the Braves traded for Matt Carpenter and then released him, I believe, yesterday or Sunday. Why do you think the Braves did that? Was that just a
I don't know.
move?
I wonder if they had him as like a suitor for something. I don't know what that was for, or if they had ulterior motives or something, saving him on tax. But I trust whatever AA is doing.
Is that a payroll dump or something?
They must have tried to like flip his bad contract in some deal. I don't know what they were trying to do, but it must have backfired. Someone must have reneged on something.
Yeah, I know how that goes because it started a new franchise on MLB The Show and took over the Giants because I wanted to, the reason why is because I wanted to go up against Shohei because I've got the most up-to-date rosters, and then picked up a couple of free agents. Actually, I got Yamamoto for a really good deal, like $700,000 for a year, just because, he's like one of those free agents they just added into the pool because this isn't next year's MLB The Show. This is this last year's. So, yeah, I got Yamamoto over there, Blake Snell, and Bellinger trying to take down the Shohei Dodgers, the Los Angeles Otanis. I didn't really know what in the world the Braves were doing with that deal and just wondered if you had any insight on that. But let's talk about something that is right up here. Go ahead.
Well, I think what they were trying to do, too, is like what they did with Stassi and Marco Gonzalez, where they kind of flipped them right away. And something just had to have fell through, and obviously they're not going to like gaslight the team that it fell through with, but I think that's what happened. I mean, there's a little value to, I think, who else they get in that deal? Ray Kerr, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they probably saw something with him, but I don't know. He's got potential. So a lot of teams always think like they have, their pitching coaches will look at guys and think they can fix a mechanic and they'll be good. So that must be the case with him. I mean, he's shown promise in the minors, but just at the major league level, he's never really succeeded yet. But he's only really had one actual year, which was last year, and, San Diego just had some other issues. So,
who are some other MLB free agents out there that are still in free agency that could move the needle for a team?
Obviously Yamamoto. It seems like the Yankees are really trying to make a push for him. I don't know what the lesser of two evils is. I guess him going to the Yankees because the Dodgers got Ohtani.
Bro, that would be so messed up if Yamamoto goes to the Dodgers. It's like just call him Team Japan
after
at that point.
Glasnow too.
I said that last week, that watch out. I bet you in a handful of years that the whole rest of the Dodgers lineup's going to mirror Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, so you got Yamamoto out there. Has Snell been snagged yet? I don't think Snell's gone anywhere.
No, he hasn't. It's weird. It seems like everyone thinks that's just a death contract. Like no one's really going for him. Yeah. I don't know. I guess when you lead the league in walks and then still in the side, it backfires on you a little bit. But
we'll have to see.
I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
but
it feels like it feels like MLB free agency. We all thought that once that domino of Shohei Ohtani fell, that it was just going to, ramp up, and it seems like it's slowed down since that signing.
Yeah, it really has. Everyone thought all the chips would fall, like you're saying, and I guess, I don't know, the price must be too high right now for the guys like Bellinger. Yamamoto is probably going to get 280 to 320, so.
Yeah, ain't even pitched yet, and he's going to get 3.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And the crazy thing is, man, it's probably worth it. Those, I know people are like, oh, Daisuke Matsuzaka or people like that, Shingo Takatsu or guys like that, but this guy is so legit. It's not like that. He's so dominant at his level, and it translates a lot better as far as pitching goes to MLB rather than hitting. So I think it's going to be a good investment, whoever makes it. Just a matter of who it is.
Yeah, and I've seen some of those videos from from where the ball comes from, where it comes from his release point, and then where it goes. And it's showing him throwing like 7 pitches. The release point is the same every single time, and the ball just has a myriad of different ways that it can go out of his hands. So yeah, I'm excited to see Yamamoto there. What about Bellinger? Where do you think his next home will be?
I would think it's going to be between the Jays and the Cubs. I know the Giants are kind of outliers there too. The Giants also signed that guy whose name I can't pronounce. I'll botch it.
Jung Ho Lee.
Jung Ho Lee, perfect. That guy's kind of like a good comp for him is like a Nico Herner.
Yeah.
Like he's got a good slap hitter. Doesn't have the same pop as some guys, but he's kind of like a what's the guy in the Red Sox name? Matasaka Yoshida.
Yep, that's it.
He's like a B- version of him, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so not a Hideki Matsui.
No.
More of a slap hitter though. But those guys are fun to watch.
I know. Well, speaking of funny story, I have a friend who's a South Korean guy, and I asked him because we were talking sports for a while, and obviously Tottenham has the best South Korean athlete ever, Min Son. But I was like, who's your favorite South Korean athlete of all time? And he was like, oh, bro, easily Ichiro. And I was like, I have horrible news for you, man. He's Japanese.
Yeah, for real. Do they claim him over there?
I don't know, because I feel like Japan and South Korea don't get along on a geographic or political standpoint, but it was pretty funny.
Yeah, that is, if you go your whole life as a South Korean and then you're told by an American that the guy that you hold to the highest, not the highest standard, but your hero growing up essentially is not even of the same country as you. What'd you say, Rick?
I was just saying that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. I was like, wow, I'm so sorry I had to pop your balloon, man.
Hey, Ja Morant's making his debut tonight versus the Pelicans. What should we expect from Ja tonight?
I think he'll come out swinging. I'm hoping. I think his dad kind of whipped him into shape, so I think he's going to come out, playing good ball and hopefully get up. I mean, I think Rick said something about it before in the past, too, but at some point you have to, maybe it was Adam, one of the two, said, you got to, kind of move on from some of your friends that, might not be making the right choices, and I'm hoping he's done that now. He's way too high profile and way too talented of a player to be getting into those situations. If you want to shoot your gun, go to the gun range. Don't flash it in your car.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do you think? He's going to come out guns a-blazing tonight?
He's going to come out shooting.
Oh, man. We will see how that goes, and then we will recap that tomorrow. Hey, Max, thanks so much for your time today, my friend, and we will catch up with you next week.
Yeah. Hey, man, have a Merry Christmas.
Hey, you do the same.
Merry Christmas, Max. Good talking to you, brother.
Hopefully I can stomp you.
Nice talking to you guys, too.
Yeah, hopefully I can stomp you in pickleball before Christmas hits.
Come on, anytime, man.
All right.
I'll try to defend my valor in basketball, I guess.
It'll be my first game playing pickleball and my first win, all in the same moment. Max, we'll talk to you later.
Exactly, because we'll be teammates, Dave.
Hey, there you go. There you go. That was Max Delyden. This has been the Afternoon Underdogs. We'll be back tomorrow at 4. Just remember, Jesus loves you, and so do I.
Start your morning with sports updates, interviews, reactions, lively discussions, insights, and expert analysis.
I think an hour. Never see another undefeated team.
Join Evan, Canty, and Michelle weekday mornings from 5 to 7.
It will never happen again.
On the Sports Talk Monster.
If anyone deserves the benefit of the doubt for one last chance,